cooking again tonight. I'm going to make flatbread pizza with roast vegetables. And we are also going to be making borscht again because I have acquired a very, very large beet. Let me mute that. Give me a moment. You would think that I'd have this down by now, but I don't. There we go. I acquired a beet the size of my head. So, what's wrong with my camera? There we go. And so we've got several things to do with this, and I almost hate to cut the thing up. So before we do, we might take a picture of it for scale. That said, first thing is first. Since we are going to be doing things in several order, we need to roast the vegetables. And I also have some delightful looking Brussels sprouts that are going to get roasted and some other things. So why don't we go ahead and get them all out real quick. In fact, I will be right back because I do need to grab something that I forgot. I am a little bit ill prepared for today's stream. Give me just a moment. Hold, please. Give me half a moment. As a matter of fact, I will be right back. Sorry. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I had to get a couple of things going. Now, like I said, tonight we are going to do some roast vegetables. I managed to acquire this giant beet, so we're going to also do borscht. Now, I got some lovely Brussels sprouts while I was at the store the other day, and these also are larger than average, which will be nice. And we'll put those on top of the flatbread pizza. So I'm really looking forward to that. The first things first, we're going to get the vegetables chopped up so that, hang on a second, so that we can get them roasting because I want some of them to go on top of the pizza. And so the first thing we are going to need to do is to get one of those pans down. And I may or may not be able to reach. I'm not very tall, y'all. So let's do this. First things first, we'll get some butter for the bottom of the pan, and then we'll start halving these Brussels sprouts. Butter! I've still got more than half a roll. And away we go. So, some of you may or may not know, but today was the day that my wife and I got our divorce. So the good news is we're still excellent friends, and she's on her way back home now, and we hung out and we had quite a nice evening and quite a nice day today. And that being said, we are still good friends, but it's been kind of a long and weird day, although a good one. Buttering up the bottom of this pan. And so I'm just kind of relaxing by cooking a little bit this evening, and I'm glad to have all of you here with me. So, the first thing that we're going to do, well, the first thing that I should probably do is to tie my hair back, because we don't want any of it getting in the food. So, there we go. Rule number 1, keep your hair out of your food. It's much tastier that way. There. Wash your hands. And now it's time to cut up these Brussels sprouts. They are beautiful looking. So let me spin you guys around so you can see this. We'll get us a cutting board from down here. And we're just going to put you here where you can see me work. Just nip off the bottoms like that, because you really can't eat them. And then slice them in half. Now, sometimes Brussels sprouts want to fall apart like this, and you can just kind of hold them on as you put them in the pan or set them aside. But what I'm doing is to just set these in the pan next to each other, and I'll give you guys a gander in here when I get a few more of these done, just so you can see how we're stacking all these up. But nip the bottom off, have the Brussels sprout straight down the middle, so that and place them cut side up. Because what we're going to do in a minute is we're going to brush these down with some melted butter and roast them, which is going to be nice. One thing that I need to remind myself not to do is to cut up all of these, because being that it's just me, there is no way I'm going to be able to eat all of them. But they do reheat decently well, so I'll make enough for me to eat for lunch tomorrow, and maybe the next day. But I will tell you this, after a while, no matter how much you love them, Brussels sprouts can get a little bit old. And I do like Brussels sprouts, quite a bit actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Brussels sprouts, 7 Brussels sprouts. That's probably enough for me, although I don't want the rest of these to go bad. I'll probably just do up a few more of them, because better they get cooked and then I can nibble on them than them stay raw and get all wilty. I want that leaf. It's pretty looking. There we go. You'll notice I'm setting the good looking leaves aside and chucking away the stems. What I'm going to do is sprinkle those leaves across the top after I butter them up, and they'll roast up fine just like everything else. And these are going to be real tasty. And then in a minute we're going to get some shallots going as well, and some mushrooms and some other stuff. So I'll just set these here for a minute. Actually, tell you what, let me show you guys what we've got here first. We have got our Brussels sprouts. And then I'm going to take and just, well, I'm going to set those aside a second, because I want to brush them with butter before I sprinkle these on them. And we'll have to do that in a second. For right now, get that cleared off. And we're going to cut up our shallots. And since we're roasting these, we don't need to mince them fine like I would if we were sautéing them.
but I don't like them real big either. So we're going to compromise. And I'm just going to make nice little rings out of them. A little thicker, you notice, than I would if I was sauteing them. And we'll just go ahead and stick those in the pan on top of the Brussels sprouts, interestingly enough. Because you don't want these shallots down in the bottom of the pan, because what will happen is they will cook faster than everything else, and they will weld to the bottom of the pan. And then you'll have little black nuggets sticking everywhere, and not delicious golden brown shallots. Now, here's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna take this beet, and I feel, well, we need to wash it first. I feel like I should probably take a picture of this thing, just given the size of it, and it's kind of a momentous thing. So give me a second to get my phone. I want a picture of this monster. Big beet. All right. So, since it's a little big to work with all at once, what I am going to do is take a section of it off. First, let's cut the bottom off because we don't need that. And next, I am going to take about what I want for our roasting off of it. Woo! There we go. Look at that. It's a golden beet. It's not a red beet. So it tastes just like a red beet, but it does not stain like a red beet. Now, the trick with beets is they do grow in the ground and they have a lot of dirt on them. So you are going to want to thoroughly wash them. Wait, let me get that out of the way. There you go. Now you can see. Bear with me. The camera is trying to be helpful with the white balance. So what we're going to do is get a vegetable brush and clean this off real good so that it doesn't have any dirt on it. Because you do not want dirt in your food. People will notice. If you don't believe me, try it once. Okay. Get all those little weird roots off. There we go. Nice. Now, dry that off without fear of it staining your cloth very much because it is a golden beet. Now, we want to cut this thing up small enough to where it's not going to be all hard and crispy when it gets done roasting. So we're gonna start with slices like this. Ooh, that's neat. I want a picture of that too. Start with slices like this, and then we're just gonna make matchsticks out of it. There we go. Little matchstick beets. Aren't they pretty? And they're really good too. Raw beet is actually pretty tasty. It tastes like dirt, but in a good way. Well, the real word is it has an earthy taste, but also a sweet taste. So we're turning these into matchsticks, and then we're sticking them right into our roasting pan. I've got another section of this. This would be the wrong knife for that, and I'm not going to risk doing something stupid with it, so I'm just going to cut this one this way. There we go. Put that aside. Sometimes when they get odd shaped like that, you got to get creative with slicing them up a little bit. There we go. Now that's enough for right now. So here is going to be the...
Oh, we want mushrooms. Mushrooms, be right back.
I just so happen to have a bag of them, and in this case we're going to roast them whole, more or less. Well, or have. That's where my Cadbury egg went. Just cut them in half, and if you want to nip the bottom of them off, if it's getting kind of old, then you can do that, but we're just gonna, or if they've got like a little weird spot on them, you can cut it off like that, but I'm just gonna cut these in half, and away we go. Would be the home phone ringing. That means a salesman is trying to get a hold of me. Okay, so now we have our melange of vegetables. We have mushrooms, we have beets, we have our Brussels sprouts and shallots. So the next thing to do is going to be to brush this all up with a lot of melted butter. And in order to get that done correctly, we are going to need a small ramekin, and we are going to want some butter. There we go. That's on my keyboard now. That's about right. So here, put that in there, and it needs to go in the microwave for a second. Or 30. Give me a sec. I'm going to check on you guys here in chat real quick and see what you guys are up to. While the microwave goes. I'm also finding a nice little basting brush for us. There we go. So now here what we're going to do is to get this butter out, which is good and melted. Let's not drop it on the keyboard now. And especially be sure, oh, let me tilt you guys this way. Especially be sure to get the Brussels sprouts good and done. Like let the let the butter drip down into like all the little baffles inside the Brussels sprouts, all down between each of the leaves, and get those going all nice, and make sure there's plenty of butter on them because it will help when roasting them. And of course now you can take those extra leaves that we set aside that fell off when we were cooking it, and then you can sprinkle them across the top. They'll get more done than the rest, so be sure you also hit those with some butter too. Oh, that's tasty. I like butter. I probably should lay off the butter. I've been a little bit tense lately, and butter's probably not good for your arteries. But that being said, I'm gonna enjoy it. There we go. Good. Now that you've buttered up your vegetables, we can hit them with a little bit of simple salt and pepper. Well, we could if I wasn't almost out of pepper. There we go. And now it's time to put them over here in the oven. So come with me. We will set the oven to, I think about 385. Clean up our bags that the vegetables came in. And now, because the flatbread pizza is going to rely on some of those vegetables to be on the top of it, we're going to start on the borscht, because that will take a minute to get going, and by the time we get it kind of bubbling in the pot, the vegetables will probably be ready to start turning into our flatbread pizza. And so, what we're going to do, that is a big beet. So just to make sure we have enough room, we're going to get a big pot. There. We're going to start with a little bit of butter. And I need to find that other shallot real quick. There you go. Let's get our cutting board back. These beets can go in here. Now we have a shallot. And this one, too much shell on that one. This shallot we are going to dice up kind of fine, because we don't really need for it to be anything other than chopped fine. So let's get the skin right off of that. Well, there we go. Sometimes it's cooperative and sometimes it's not. I'm also noticing that this particular shallot is very, very angry. And, very, very angry shallot. So let's cut this up. Very small. And get it over in our pan. Oh. Here we go. Now, we are not ready to start that cooking yet because we still need to chop up the rest of our beet, and I want to get some carrots going for it. So, we get our carrots. And I have more of these little choppy-duppy ones, so we're going to have to pull them out and cut them into even smaller bits just to kind of get them going. So I'll put you guys back down here. And we can just shake a few of these out. I might even leave them relatively large because they'll add a little something to the soup if they're kind of bigger and crunchier. In fact, well, no sense in not making it neat though, you know. There's something to be said for rustic. On the other hand, there's also something to be said for nice, appetizing, semi-even sized pieces. So we will opt for a nice, happy medium. There we go. See, those are looking real nice. We've got them all in a row and chopped straight down the middle. I'll line these up and do the same thing with them. Something to be said for having a nice big knife too. Just roll that right down the line and right back up the line. Uh-oh. And there we go. Those are all about the same size. And I'm going to go throw those in the pan, and with those I can probably turn the thing on. Although, I think I'm going to wait until I've got some of this beet going, just because that'd be the safer bet. So let's thwack some of this beet on off here. Oh, that's right, because we got to wash this monster. There we go. Woo, look at that. Very cool. All right, let's go wash our beet real quick. Always wash beets really, really good. I cannot stress that enough. In a minute I'm going to go and get a potato, and we're going to put that in here too, and we'll need to cut that up. But I'll be able to start the pan once we get the beet cut up and in, because the potato won't take much less time than the beet. There we go. And with this, it doesn't really matter if we don't get a bunch of even-sized pieces. What we just really want is some small, nice, edible-sized chunks that you wouldn't mind finding on your spoon. And that will be the trick there. There we go. There we are. Look at that big monster. Isn't it beautiful? I saw that in the market when I was visiting my family for Easter. And I thought, no one's really going to deal with a beet that size. And I couldn't stand the thought of the thing going to waste, as big and magnificent as it looked. So I decided to bring it on home and to do some stuff with it. And so it's going to become soup for a few days. Of course, I'm going to have a sore hand from chopping the thing up. Let's get this thing going. All right, let's go. It almost looks like a mango, doesn't it? There we go. There we are. Now, we can go ahead and turn this on. Well, there we go. And while we wait for that to heat up a little bit, I'm going to go get a potato and cut it up, and we're going to throw it in there. Also, I think maybe a little more butter, because that is a lot of beet. And we want it to cook down a little bit first before we put in a bunch of water. But I think that because of the amount of vegetable in there, maybe just a little splash of water to start with to keep things from sticking and adhering might be advisable. Now, let me check on how our vegetables are roasting up here real quick. Yeah, they're starting to do. Let's set a timer on that. And we'll get our potato. Unfortunately, my potato has gotten a little bit lively. So we will clean him up a little bit. And then we'll wash him up a little bit. Come on over here. Dry him off so he doesn't slip around on us. And we will cut him up in 2 pieces. Oop. Sorry about that, guys. Ooh, we've got a rotten spot on our potato. Well, we have a rotten spot far into our potato. That's alright, let's cut it in half and see what we got. There we go, that looks better. Kinda. Perfect. Don't put bad potatoes in your food. I can't think of a better way to ruin a good dish than with a bad potato. And give me just a second here. There we go. Those shallots are starting to smell really, really good. There we go. Now, I see a tater with a bad spot. Let's pull those out. Let's check that again just to be on the safe side, shall we? There. We're good. So now that we've got the potatoes into the borscht, we're going to let that all cook down for a minute. So I'll put a clear lid on it so you guys can keep an eye on it. There. And we will wait for that, and we'll also keep an eye on the roasting vegetables, and then I'm going to go see who it is that's trying to get a hold of me real quick. Hold, please. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I am back. Now, as I said, we're going to have to wait a little bit for the other stuff to finish, and in fact, I could probably cut up a little more of this beet and throw it in there because I have plenty left. So let's try to cut some more off. There we go. Heck, that's enough beet for a whole beet in and of itself. The question is, do I want to put that in this soup, or do I want to save it for something else? You know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wash this, I'm going to slice it up, I'm going to stick it in the freezer, and I will use it sometime soon. So let's wash it first. Run over here. And give it a good scrub. Oh, shit. Too low. Give it a good scrub. Scrape some of the outside off. Scrub that up real nice. Okay. Now, we have us a nice, pretty washed beet. And what I'm gonna do is turn around here. Rinse my knife off real good. And we're going to cut this thing up and then freeze it so we have it for later. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of do it in little slats just to make it kind of all-purpose. That is one tough root vegetable. But I will have some of this magnificent beastie for later. There we go. Woo! All right, time for a Ziploc bag. Also, let's give this a stir while we're over here, shall we? And it's about time to add water and bouillon to that. So when I finish with this, we'll do just that. There we go, beets. Ready to roll. We'll go stick these in the freezer and get going with our soup. Where do I want these? I think right there. I'll remember them easier that way. Okay. Now, we're going to get some beef bouillon and some water. We'll start with just a cup because this is a cast iron pan, but it's lined with enamel. And what we don't want is for the enamel to crack. And so we slowly add the water. Oh, hey, the sun just came out. Cool. That's a welcome sight. All right, so we get our water going. And we add us a little beef bouillon to it. And then we can start with herbs and spices, although we want to check on the vegetables that are roasting at the moment because they're probably done or getting there. I might modify this a little later and add some noodles, but cover that back up again. And yeah, that's getting there. I would like to cover it actually, or throw some water in it. So let's just add a little water to that to keep it from getting stuck to the pan. Be real careful shoving your hand into a 400-degree oven, by the way. Remember, kids, I may not be a professional, but I've been doing this a long time. We'll let those simmer in low water a while and then we'll build it up a bit. What I do want to do is to get some herbs and spices in there. So what we're gonna do is do some sage, some, I don't know if I want coriander in it. What I definitely want is some celery salt. We're gonna do some onions, some garlic, not too much garlic. Maybe a little oregano, just kind of give it a little something. Let's see what this is. Let me turn that down a little bit too. Alrighty, woo, there we go. Celery salt, because I don't have any actual celery to put in the borscht tonight. Little sage, and I guess a little bit of oregano. That'll do. Tiny little bit of garlic. I don't want a lot, just a touch. But what I do want is some onion. Here we go. That'll be good. Man, that smells good. And tastes good, but it needs more water now. That means we need to check on the roasting vegetables. And we want more water in there, but not right now. So I'm going to set it aside and we'll go from there. It's starting to look real good. What I'll probably do is let it go another 2 minutes, scoop out the beets and the mushrooms, and let the Brussels sprouts go just a little bit longer. What I'm also going to do is get ready to do our flatbread pizza. Okay, let's see what we got. We're going to take our carrots and wrap them back up real nice so that they don't get wonky on us. And we'll put our spices back where they go. Wipe the butter off the counter. And I think we're done with our bouillon for now. Beep! Yeah, alright. Let's grab some oven mitts and take a gander at these vegetables. I'm probably going to want a plate so that I can separate them out. Yeah. Okay. Take a look at that, guys. The mushrooms are ready. The beets and the Brussels sprouts are almost ready. So I don't want the mushrooms getting burned. So I'm going to yank them and the beets off of there. Man, that smells good. So, looky there. I'm going to set those aside real quick. And we're going to stick these Brussels sprouts back in because I want them good and done. I want them to start turning crispy and golden. Perfect. So we're going to set these aside a half a second. And now we need another pan. There we go. Because we need to start on our flatbread pizza. So for our flatbread pizza, we start with flatbread. Yes. And we're going to want to brush both sides down with a little bit of olive oil. Get rid of our... What the heck? Oh. Thought I smelled wood burning. My spoon got a little too close to the open flame. Alright, so we're going to start by getting just a little bit of olive oil. Not a lot, just a little drizzle. And we are going to brush this down with it. There we go. Followed by a little bit of salt. Followed by some oregano. A little more oregano. Because oregano is good. Okay. Now, a little bit of basil, because basil is also good on pizzas. I'm kind of pinching it real fine because I don't want big chunks on it. If it's dried herbs, that kind of detracts from the whole thing. So now, what we're going to do is crack open a small can of tomato paste. Now, take your tomato paste and put some of it in a small ramekin. And that's a little thick just to throw on our pizza. So what we're going to do is add a little water to it. There we go. And then we just stir it up. Carefully until it's the right consistency. What we want is, instead of a tomato paste, kind of more of a tomato sauce. There we go. Now, we can layer that on the pizza. And I need to go check on the soup real quick. So give me just a moment. There we go. That looks good. I don't want it all the way on, just part of the way on. That is good. Brussels sprouts are still ticking away. So what we'll do is we will take our brush and just gently spread our tomato sauce over the entirety of our flatbread. And it's going to be real good. Rinse that off real quick. And now here comes the best part. See these wonderful roasted vegetables? We're going to put them on the pizza. Although, I confess that those mushrooms are so good I don't want to. I just want to eat them by themselves. But we got to wait for the Brussels sprouts to finish so that we can put some of those on the pizza too. So while we wait for that, I'm going to go get the cheese, and we're going to start adding a little bit of it to the pizza. And what we're going to do is get some mozzarella, and I'm going to add a little of this. It's a sheep's milk cream cheese that tastes a lot like feta. And let's also get us some olives going on. What do you think? I think so. And I don't know if these have pits in them or not, because I haven't opened them yet. I'm not even sure if they have a date on them. But olives don't go bad, right? Right. So, let's move this aside and dice up a couple of these olives to throw on here. Let's see if we can't get that going. Kind of a Mediterranean feel to this. Yeah, I think these still have pits, which means we are going to need to pit them. There we go. Beautiful. It says refrigerate after opening, so I'm going to go stick this in the fridge. And we shall get a small knife and try to remove the pits out of these. And I need to go check on that soup real quick. So forgive me a moment while I do that, and I'll be right back. Let's go ahead and turn that down a bit. Okay, those Brussels sprouts are getting close to done, but what we're going to do is just pull these olives apart. The problem with olives with pits on them is really the only way to eat them is to stuff them in your mouth and chew on them for a minute. But what I'm doing is peeling these apart into just little olive bits so that I can sprinkle it onto the pizza. It's not a really fun task, nor, truth be told, is it an appetizing looking task. But I do enjoy it. Well, I enjoy eating it. I don't enjoy doing it. Here we go. Almost done. Not the most fun thing to watch, I'm sorry, but we're going to get to the good stuff in a minute. There we go. Almost ready. There we go. Olive bits. So let's wash our hands. And now we bring back our pizza. We sprinkle our olive bits all over our pizza. Yes. Looky there. That looks wonderful, doesn't it? Alrighty. Now, what we're going to do next is add a little bit of this sheep's milk cheese. And because we don't necessarily have to be particular about how we do it, I am just going to put chunks of it on with a small fork. There we go. Come on, just a little more. There we go. Okie dokie. Now let's stick that back in the fridge so it stays fresh. And from here, we'll start laying some of our vegetables on this thing. A little bit of an unusual pizza, but it's going to be really good, I promise. There we go. Okay. Now,
Let's go check these sprouts. And let's check our soup. That's continuing to look pretty good. Alright. I think we might be onto something here. Okie dokie, yeah, those are almost perfect. I like those little crispy bits on the top. And those look just about right. Now, I'm going to get a couple of them and I'm going to let the other ones sit for a minute in the oven because I like the ones that I just eat a little more done than that. I'm going to pick out one or two for this pizza of ours. Let's see, that one. And that will do. Okay. So, let's set this aside a second. And since we don't want giant chunks of Brussels sprout on a pizza, oh, I still don't have too many paring knives, do I? Let's just kind of slice these up a little bit. They really do smell good. There we go. Come on. Come on. There we go. That's going to be good. All right. Now the last thing we need for pizza is cheese. And so, we've got our mozzarella. We're going to just coat that bad boy in it. Kind of a Mediterranean delight. Now, before we throw it in the oven, I'm going to do one last thing. We're going to put just a little more oregano on top of it for flavor. All right. With that said, our pizza is ready. It's going to go into the oven now. And now we can plate up the rest of our roast vegetables. So let's do that.
And then we'll have them to eat later. Except I'm stealing some of these mushrooms now. Mmm. Aren't those pretty looking? Those are going to be absolutely delicious. And I will eat on those for the next couple of days. There we go. Pretty awesome, huh? Let's run a little water in that pan to kind of help get it clean. Yummy. Okay. Now, since we've got a couple of minutes until the pizza comes out of the oven, and since our borscht is still cooking, I think we'll clean up while we wait. First things first, let's put the butter away before it gets too soft. There we go. Did I wash this? Yeah, I've got clean dishes in the dishwasher, so I'd better put those away. Give me a sec. Oh, I should go over there. There we go. All right. There we are. Coffee cups. Ramekins. Knives and plates. There we go. Dishwasher's empty now. Which we're about to fix. We'll rinse this out before we put it in there. This is not dirty. It's just in the way. Brussels sprout pan. Let's check on this pizza real quick. Oh yes, the cheese is melting nicely. We'll give it another 3 minutes before we have to check on it. Throw away our pizza or our cheese bag. Because cheese is awesome. Let's get up all our leavings from cutting up the vegetables. Something to put them on. Yeah, here we go. There we go.
check on something here real quick. There we go. Paring knife. Sorry, we're just kind of hanging out until everything simmers. Just a second. I want a picture of this beet slice. It has like a little purple runner down the middle of it. It's just how the color of the beet is when it gets that old. It's the old runner root that went down the middle of it. It's pretty cool, huh? And I want a little picture of it to put on the Instagram. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, let's go check on that real quick. Yeah, pizza's getting closer to done, but it's not done yet. The soup's also getting pretty close to done, but I'm not sure it's quite there either. And what you can do is you stab your vegetables with a fork, and if they're still crunchy, which these are, the soup is not, in fact, ready to eat yet. So we wait. Another 2 minutes on the pizza. Put our butter dish into our dishwasher. And I don't stick these in the dishwasher. I wash them by hand, just because I know there's silicone and they'll probably be fine in the dishwasher, but it's just easier not to. If the dishwasher water and the detergent settles in these, they give them kind of a funky taste. Usually just some nice hot water is enough. There we go. All right. This could probably use just a little bit more water. That cook down again. Ooh, our pizza's really starting to look good. I think about 2 more minutes on that pizza, and then if it's not fully good and done, we might move it from the oven to the broiler to crispy up the cheese on top, because everything on it is done. The vegetables were already roasted, the tomato sauce is tomato sauce, the olive oil too, and all the herbs and spices, and the bread itself is cooked. We want it to be nice and crispy, of course, but that said, once it gets to a certain temperature and the cheese is melted a certain amount, you can hurry it along by sticking it under the broiler and then just toasting up the cheese, and that's probably what we will do. That said, let's take a look at our nice vegetables. Here we have Brussels sprouts, which are done to perfection. See how they're nice and golden along the edge? Tender, buttery, and delicious. Same with our beets. I would have liked to get these done a little more so that they're crispy. But as it is, they're tender and sweet. This one kind of came out a little better. Yes. Our mushrooms, they almost look dry, but if you look at the inside, they're not. They're nice and juicy, and they've got, a lot of good moisture in them still. And mushrooms are absolutely one of my favorite foods. They're so, they're a comfort food. Mushrooms are just something that you eat that make you happy. I like mushrooms. So, that said, let's check on this pizza over here. Yeah, that's getting really close to being done, but much like a lot of things, one more minute wouldn't hurt it. So, we're going to do that. In the meantime, let's check on our soup. It smells so good. A little spoonful to taste here. See if it needs anything. No, I think that's going to be just fine. Now, this pizza is about to come out, and I'm going to aim the camera a little lower than I normally do because I want to show you something about how to use a broiler. Let me get some oven mitts first. Yep. Okay. Now, if you look, everything looks great on this, right? Let me bring it over here so you can see it. Look, everything looks almost great on that, but what I'd really like to do is toast up some of the cheese without really burning the bread. So what are we going to do? We're going to set our oven on broil instead of bake, on high, and you open up the broiler pan, and we're going to stick it along the broiler burners for no more than a minute. In fact, what I'm probably going to do is stay down here and keep an eye on this for the next 30 seconds or so, because we don't want it getting overly done. We want it because it's really close to the fire and it's going to toast up that cheese with fire, and we don't want it to burn, which it can very, very fast. So it's been in there 30 seconds, and you can really already see the cheese changing and starting to bubble. So what we're going to do is I'm going to wait until about 15 seconds, and then I'm going to take another look at it and see how far it still has to go. Turn that down a little bit while I'm at it. Yeah. And look, you can already see the cheese is starting to toast on that. Now what I'm going to do is watch it and give it another 15-20 seconds in there, and that's all we're going to need for this. Doesn't take long, and you got to keep an eye on it, because if you put it in there and get distracted for like 2 minutes and walk away, you'll come back, the whole thing will be shot. So that's been about 15 seconds, and look at that. See the difference? Let me bring it over here so you can see. Look at that. Look how toasty and wonderful that is after only a minute and a half in the broiler. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? So I'm going to set that over here real quick so we can finish off this whole shebang. And I can point this upward so you're not looking at my ass. So that is about it. Let me get a pizza cutter. Yes, I know. Turn your oven off when you're done with it. Where's my pizza cutter? Yeah. Come on over here with me. We're gonna cut this up real quick, and I'll show you what we got. There we go. I'm not gonna get fancy with it. We'll just cut it into two big long square pieces for that half, and I'll get them up on a plate for you. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. And you could do this with anything. I'd like to get some pepperoncinis on it, because I love banana peppers. That oregano in that cheese is absolutely wonderful. So let me show you guys what we've got here. We have got flatbread pizza with roast vegetables and two kinds of cheese. It smells wonderful, it looks wonderful, and I guarantee you it's going to taste wonderful. I am looking forward to that. Then, beyond that, we've got ourselves some roast vegetables. We've got beets. We've got Brussels sprouts. That's how I like them. You see this little guy right here? How he's all nice and dark and crispy and golden brown. It's like candy. Mushrooms, of course, one of my all-time favorite comfort foods. And that is going to be my dinner tonight. Now, excuse me. Sorry. In addition to that, I am going to finish up with this borscht over here. Let's go check it and see if it is softening up enough to kind of take it off the heat and let it sit on its own merits. I'm going to let you guys look at this while I do that, and you can check me out on the stove cam. Ooh, that smells good. Okay. Looky here. My, that smells good. Let's get our little fork, stab at it a bit. There's one of the harder looking pieces. I am going to take and eat that as soon as it cools off a second and see if it is tender enough for us to take this off the heat or not. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I'm going to leave it sitting there. But that is absolutely ready to eat. So I'm going to show you how to plate this up real quick, or bowl this up real quick. The best part about borscht is when you eat it, you put a little dollop of sour cream on it. So I'll show you that. Also, while spooning it up, do not ladle it directly over your thumb. Very important. All right, so in the bowl, and a little bit of sour cream. Drain the water off that. Okie dokie. The dollop of Daisy. Put that right there. You guys have seen me make borscht before. But really, I mean, with a giant beet. What else am I going to do? That said, we will put our sour cream back in the fridge so that it stays fresh. And I think that I am going to spend the rest of the evening cleaning up my kitchen and enjoying my food. Thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out with me this evening. I really appreciate it, and it's always fun to see you guys here. I think I'm going to throw the stream over to who's on? Huh. Maybe Ellie B? I haven't thrown a stream over to Ellie B in a while, so I'm going to do that. In the meantime, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.